Hey folks, it's your girl Lexi Mahari here with you for another installment of Buzzworthy Chit Chat. In today's episode, we will be discussing Portia's Family Matters, which is airing on Bravo. I'm going to jump right in with episode 4 and provide my thoughts and opinions about this show. Honestly, I had been putting off watching it for quite some time as I had my own mixed feelings about whether or not I wanted to engage in any of the foolery that I was hearing about across the social media platforms and reading the reviews of other bloggers and getting their thoughts and opinions about whether or not this was worth my time. But it just so happened that this was the day when I had some things to take care of and I needed to have a little noise in the background to keep me going. So I thought, hey, this is a good time for me to get through the first few episodes and kind of form my own opinion about whether or not this show is worth watching. Is it a hoax, as that has been the chatter out there amongst viewers? Is there a reason why the viewership is declining? I'm hearing that in the first week, her show was up around 800 plus thousand. And then in the subsequent weeks that have followed, it has slowly declined by 100,000 viewers each week. So I wanted to make a determination, hey, is it because of the quality of the show? Is it really coming across as fake or a hoax? Or, could there be other factors at play? When this show first came out, it was coming on the back end of the Housewives of Potomac, and we all know they had another great season. So it only made sense that people maybe hung out to get a sense of what this show was going to be about the first 2 weeks. Um, but since that time, since the Housewives of Potomac's reunion has come to an end, and this show has been standing on its own in the Housewives of Atlanta time slot, again, the viewership has dropped. So, I took a look at each of these episodes, and as I said, I'm going to maybe probably talk a little bit about the past episodes, but focus primarily on episode 4. And so, interestingly enough, I appreciate being introduced to the family. It's always interesting to see who are the people around some of our favorite reality stars. And so in this particular show, we've got some familiar faces that have carried over, like Portia's mother, Diane, and her sister Lauren are back. But also, we also have Dennis and Mama Gina returning to the show. But then we're introduced to Simon, as well as her extended family. So her father's side, which includes her aunt Liz, who is an activist. And I don't know how many of you recognized her, but she's an actress. She's a familiar face in a lot of movies. I think I remember seeing her in a Tyler Perry movie. I don't know if it was Medea's Family Reunion or where I'm pulling her in at, but she was definitely in a Tyler Perry movie. Um, I think I heard she was in Selma, and I thought she was in A Time to Kill. Why do I feel like I saw her in A Time to Kill? Hey, if you know of other movies that she was in, please feel free to drop that down in your comments in the comment section. But she's a very familiar face, and in one of the episodes she talked about her role in the Williams family activism past, and it was very interesting to see that she has been someone who has been a part of that activism since the time she was a child. So that's Aunt Liz. We have also from the Williams side, Londi, who is Portia's first cousin. And then from her mother's side, we have her Aunt Darlene, who is Diane's sister, who apparently is around the same age. We also have Storm, who is Darlene's child or her daughter. I say child because she did behave like a child, but I'm sure this person is probably in her 20s, I would think. Um, and I think those were the main folks that are there. There's also a woman who's a shaman of sorts who is mentoring Lauren, who is moving into this new space of meditation and, I would say helping people solve problems, so to speak, right, in a spiritual healing type of way. So we're introduced to this cast of characters, and we kind of get to watch the dynamics at play of these relationships. So fast forward to episode 4, where they are in Mexico to talk through their problems. The premise of the show, according to what we hear Portia say repeatedly, is that she wants to focus on co parenting with Dennis and also, helping her family to heal some of the problematic dynamics that exist. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I thought months ago, or maybe it was last year, when these talks first came out about Portia's show, that the focus was supposed to be around her activism and that it was going to be a very short limited series. And if that aired and I forgot, please feel free to drop that in the comments, because that's what I thought the show was supposed to be about. But once the news broke about her being engaged to Fallon's husband, then it's like the show took this crazy shift, right? And it's all about Simon. And in episode 4 we hear Portia's Aunt Liz. It's kind of funny because she brings up the fact that she didn't understand why why she was there in so many words, right? Because she thought, this was supposed to be about the family. And she makes references even, as they go through an exercise within the episode, where she brings up her participation in activism and how that was really all she has known. And so it seemed like Aunt Liz came in for one show, perhaps the show that I understood this was supposed to be, but it evolved into the Simon Portia co-parenting with Dennis show. So yeah, feel free to weigh in the comment section if you thought otherwise too. So we are, exposed more to Aunt Liz, who, shares her experiences. But then it's like she's kind of sitting in her own silo, because meanwhile, there's a whole other show of dysfunction going on this trip. We have Mama Gina, who, I don't know if she really wants to heal anything between her and Portia. She says things, but I think it's because of her past interactions with Portia that Portia is not very open to healing anything in the moment as she is saying it, which is a little frustrating, right? Because it's like you invited her on this trip. You said you wanted to heal whatever the problem is between the two of you. Of course, most recently the problem being that she's accusing you of cheating while being with her son, as well as saying your mom told her that. So now you're in your feelings about it. But when she actually does say that she wants to push forward in so many words, Portia's giving her the side eye. Like she's not really trying to hear that in that moment. Um, so in addition to that dysfunction with Mama Gina, you have the infamous Versace robe situation going on between her and Dennis, which is a bit strange to me. And that's probably sarcastic in saying it's a bit strange. It's a whole lot strange, because if you're engaged to this other man, why are you holding on to your former man's clothing? And why would you be wearing it even? Why would it even be sitting on the shelf? That, to me, that is just so dysfunctional. And I can see why people feel like this is a hoax. It's not real. They don't believe it's going to happen. Because in what universe, if you have moved on and are claiming happiness, are you going to be looking backwards at this point? There's no need to look backwards. Other than, as you said, if you're looking to co-parent, you're co-parenting. You're not holding on to any belongings from this person who, hasn't brought you any happiness. The other odd thing about this other dysfunction in this show is the fact that Dennis is not able to bring people in his life around Portia or the group. Now, on some levels, it makes sense. I'm a Capricorn. I'm a very private person. So I can understand maybe not wanting to have strangers come to your house that you don't know, or you feel like, you know that this is not going to be a serious relationship and you don't want strangers in your house. That's one thing. Or hearing your business. But that's not what she's been saying. It's more like she just doesn't want to have to deal with the fact that she being Portia, she doesn't want to have to deal with the fact that Dennis is moving along and moving on with all of his work, as he likes to say, right? That he has all these different women coming in and out of his life. She doesn't want to have to look at that, right? Because that's triggering for her. Which again, if it's triggering for you, I have to question how much you've actually moved on. So there's that. Um, Another part of the dysfunction that comes out in this episode is the relationship between Storm and her mother, Darlene. That whole exchange in which her mother was trying to apologize for anything that she did or didn't do for her, and Storm's reluctance to hug her mother shows that there's a lot there that is wrong. And it's going to take more than this show to fix it. And I don't know if there are things that have been edited out that we haven't seen. It's unfortunate, right? Because we're so focused on Dennis and Simon and Porsha that we don't know what is really wrong in that area. And Darlene, they're making her look like um, she's just off either mentally or I don't know if there's something else going on, but the way they're presenting her, unfortunately, is not necessarily coming off as a good look, right? So it just enhances it. It adds to the clear dysfunction between her and Storm. But I do appreciate what Portia had to say about, that relationship between Storm and her mother, that, there are things that Storm perhaps perceives her mother did wrong as a parent, and that, there is no handbook to parenting. And I agree, it's true. Kids will let you know what they perceive you to have done to them or done wrong. And so that's a part of what we're observing on the screen. Now, um, I'm thinking about the dinner here where they have the exchange between Dennis and Storm, who apparently Dennis previously employed her when she was 18. And they clearly have a very tense relationship. Things that he says implies that she was hired more than once. So apparently she was fired due to insubordination. And he said the way in which she talked to people. And that's not shocking because, again, if you watch her, all of her exchanges are tense and loud. And again, you just have to question, is it editing or is she really that way? I don't know. But again, it's making her look very immature for her age. So, yep, so we have that. And then the relationship between Londi and Storm, not a good one either. Very tense exchanges between them. So, I think finally the last thing I want to say about this episode that was a standout for me, and this goes back to the Robe situation. I have to appreciate Simon. Simon has been an interesting guy to watch over the last few episodes. He continues to actually be a center of calm, oddly enough. Now, I don't know if that's part of age or having been married 4 times or just, being a man. Some men, they don't get into the drama. They just sit back and observe. And he is very observant. I don't know if he's just like, you know, kind of taking notes, evaluating the situation, sizing up where people are weak, and, if he's going to actually use that later on in some way, or if he's just not that guy who gets involved in the middle of stuff. He actually says a lot of stuff that makes sense amazingly, and I'm surprised that I feel that way because I have strong feelings about him moving on with Porsha the way he did, but he says a lot of things that make sense, such as telling her that she needed to get Dennis's stuff back, including that robe, which, as of this video, there was a lot of chatter out there on the social media that she had not yet given the robe back, allegedly. And also, him telling Porsha that she needed to stand her ground with Mama Gina and telling Dennis just is the same, in fact. And that's true. They kind of need to separate themselves a little bit from Mama Gina because it's really more about them and how they're raising their child. And she is just really right smack dab in the middle of it. So in that respect, Simon has said a lot of things that actually make sense. And I will also add that Dennis has actually been an entertaining resource on this show. You never know what he's going to say. The translation subtitles are giving me life because, yeah, there are times when I don't even know what he said. It's like, what does that mean? And here comes the Bravo producers with the translation. So, yeah, I would say if there's anything likable about the show, Dennis, it has actually been pretty good, surprisingly. Simon is actually like this voice of common sense, which is a little scary on some levels. And Aunt Liz, who during one of the dinners actually inquired about people who were at the table who really weren't related to the family. They're on this trip for, healing and, fixing things in the family. And you have these 2 assistants that are sitting there. Would I tell you to watch this show? If you got nothing else to do, sure. If you're a fan of the Housewives or you are a fan of Porsha Williams, sure, watch the show. But I don't know if I would tell you to make time to go out of your way to watch it. I will say this, apparently in the next episode, we are anticipating some physical interaction, a little bit of a fight. So if that's what your thing, if you enjoy the conflict, the physical conflict that occurs on reality shows, I'm guessing this may be your episode to tune in. But I don't know if I would tell people to tune in. I know it's not what I had hoped it would be based on what they were saying it was supposed to be last year when they were talking about the series rolling out. But hey, tell me what you think. If you like this show, let me know down in the comments, folks. That concludes this episode of Buzzworthy Chit Chat with Lexi Mahari. Thank you for taking time to tune in today. Like the video, please subscribe to my channel and spread the word. Thank you and stay safe.